All right, welcome everyone. Doing a webinar this evening on Kabbalah. We're going to be talking about purpose, manifestation, and many other aspects of the tree of life, which is what you see on the screen here. And as we talk this evening in this webinar, my hope is for you to really get a very deep sense of what the tree of life is and how we work with it in the mystery school tradition, because it's a very unique way of working. And there's many different sort of branches and lineages and traditions of Kabbalah. And this tradition of Kabbalah that we have in the mystery school, there's sort of the three Abrahamic religions all have different variations of Kabbalah, began really within and around the Jewish religion and tradition. And our mystery school came from King Solomon, which around 3,000 years ago, King Solomon did a huge service to humanity. Those of you who are mystery school initiates have heard this story in the Empower Thyself class. But essentially, what King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba and all the different masters and healers that they brought together did was to create the mystery school the way that we have it today. And that's a much longer story. I'm not going to tell that whole story here, as most of you have already heard it. But the tradition that we have in the mystery school of Kabbalah comes from King Solomon's time. And the way that we teach it is really the same core alchemical journey of what we call Ascension, which is like initiation, but a little bit different. But essentially could be thought of as an initiatory journey into the tree of life. So within the Jewish Kabbalistic tradition, that maybe the first 1,000 years or so after King Solomon's time, according to the histories that we have available to us, Kabbalah was taught in the Jewish tradition the exact same way that we teach it today. And then over the next 1,000 years, approximately after that, Kabbalah was taught in a sort of faster, more mystical formula of almost instantaneous ascension of the tree of life. Sometimes that was called Merkaba mysticism. For about 900 years, it was taught like that. And then that was discarded around 1,000 years ago. And over the last 1,000 years, Jewish Kabbalah has evolved into more of a numerological and reflective study on, the other core teachings of the Jewish faith and tradition. So that's Jewish Kabbalah. Christian Kabbalah evolved out of that and out of some mystery school Kabbalah as well. And Muslim Kabbalah evolved also over the last 1,000 years, like Christian Kabbalah did out of that. So the mystery school tradition is none of those three traditions from either Jewish, Christian, or Muslim Kabbalah. It really is its own core piece that those things came from. But we keep it really pure and clear and not connected to any one specific faith. So there's not, sometimes the word dogma comes up around religion, and I think a lot of people maybe have a negative connotation or association with the word dogma. We don't even use dogma in a negative way. We just use it to denote like the whole way that most religions put a set of teachings around the right and the wrong ways to live. And in the mystery school, we don't really have very much dogma around what is right and wrong. We give people the tools to discover the way that they wish to live their life for themselves. And that's really pretty different than really any other religion, because the mystery school is not really a religion. It's more of a science and an art and a way of being that gives you more access to yourself. And when you have more access to you, you can make different decisions about how you're going to live your life. And the tree of life and the Kabbalah tradition, the mystery school, is really at the core of the knowledge of self. We have the path of initiation, which is our foundation. And on that path, we have the path of the healer. We have the path of the spiritual warrior. And Kabbalah is not its own path in the mystery school like the healer or the warrior, but it is a blueprint that all the paths are based upon. And when we study the Kabbalah in the mystery school, it is something that reveals itself from the inside of us to the outside of us. And there's not really everything we do in Kabbalah is inherent to the self. So the tree of life, which is this map or this blueprint here, I'm going to go on to the next slide here, brings us into the self. The map of the tree of life is the map of the self. The map of the tree of life is the map of what we would call our spiritual DNA or our spiritual blueprints. And those spiritual blueprints, you're born with them. You bring them in from the eons of infinite time that you've been traveling through the multiverse. The tree of life also is the physical DNA that comes from your ancestors. So when you're born, your parents and their parents and all the generations before you, all of their good, bad, and ugly things are all in the tree of life as well that you inherit. So what you carry today in this moment as a human being in your tree of life is an amalgamation or a fusion of everything you inherited from your ancestors and everything that you brought with you into this life as a spiritual being coming into a physical experience. And that fusion of the physical and spiritual DNA is like a deep foundation of records and memories and powers and potentials, and really everything that exists in you exists inside the tree of life. And sometimes it's said in the mystery school and Kabbalistic tradition, everything that is real is existing inside the tree of life. Everything that is not real or is illusion exists outside of the tree of life. That's quite a statement that maybe is just used to provoke people to think about themselves in context of the tree. And there are many statements like of that intention within the Kabbalistic tradition that are designed to get you to ask different questions. And one of the Hermetic aphorisms is that all truths are but half truths. So when you take a webinar like this, or when you reflect on Kabbalah in the mystery school tradition, that was something that always gave me great comfort, because I knew I was always in good hands of myself to be my own guide along this path in the mystery school, that there was no one who was going to tell me this is the ultimate way it is and you need to believe this. So that was something that really never worked well for me within religion. I always felt that there was more that wasn't stated or necessarily even known by others that I had to find out for myself. And when I found the mystery school, I knew I had really kind of hit the jackpot spiritually in some way. I had all sorts of doubts and my own conceptions and misconceptions about what the mystery school was when I first found it. But I knew that there was something unique in a system that both seemed like it really had all the answers, but wasn't going to force any of those answers on me. It was going to guide me to find them for myself. And I see that again and again in the mystery school. I've been doing this work 20 years now. This will be my 20th year since I got initiated. And I always find the way that I come to know myself and I come to know the truth of something evolves. So what I find to be true now might not have been true for me 2 years ago, but I had to find that on my own. So we say, Kabbalah is really for everyone. I might say Kabbalah is for everyone who feels called to it or who feels that they are ready, but it's at its core an alchemical journey. And it's a journey of the soul primarily. It's also a journey through our physical life as a body and a journey through the world of spirit as an infinite, eternal being. But in the mystery school tradition, the soul is the go-between or the midpoint between heaven and earth, between the body and the spirit, between being a separate, mundane, physical person and an infinite, divine, spiritual being that has never been born and can never die. The soul is a learning component that's between those two things. So we say the ultimate truth of you is that you are a divine being. You are a god, goddess in training to literally become God one day. Not anytime soon. Not maybe that takes billions and zillions of years, but that we are the children of God, goddess, and that we are in training to do that. And that teaching is not something that is easy to understand. That teaching is, it took me years to even be like, are these people serious? Like, do these people in the mystery school really believe that? Because I couldn't believe it. Maybe some part of me wanted to believe it. But as I did Kabbalah in the mystery school, I started to come to believe that more and more, because it wasn't something that was just being told to me. It was something I was experiencing for myself. And Kabbalah is the best system I've ever found and that we've ever seen in the mystery school for directly infusing that knowledge of I am God into every part of your life, every part of the self, every part of your psyche, your subconscious, and down to the most practical ways of how you live in your day-to-day life. So the soul naturally seeks to fulfill its purpose, to come to wholeness, to come to completion, to feel resolved with the lessons of life. The soul is all about learning lessons. That's its main purpose, is to deliver lessons to you. And then it's also the part of you that learns the lessons. So you are both giving and receiving lessons to and from yourself. And maybe that sounds kind of far-fetched, well, Jordan, come on, lessons come to you from life, right? But the soul is part of life. The soul is not just here in your body. The soul is a vast energy that's all around you. We say the soul body is about 500 feet in diameter or 250 feet in radius around us, but the soul is connected to all other souls. And the soul is connected to your contract with God, Goddess, with Creator. Your soul is connected to the entire universe in a certain sense. So the soul is basically a gift from the light, from God, that contains every lesson within it that you will ever need to learn. As a human being, the soul has all of it built in. And the soul is also the part of you that is learning those lessons. So it gives out a lesson, the lesson manifests in the world out there, and then it's taken in again, received and processed and digested, and meaning is created from that lesson. That meaning causes the evolution of the eternal self to grow into its own divine purpose. So alchemy is complete, permanent, divine transformation of whatever we're talking about, in this case, the soul, to a higher order, a higher level of harmony, a greater way of being. Healing, which is another major aspect of Kabbalah. So it's a healing alchemical journey to your true self. Healing means to become whole, to reclaim who you really are as your true self, to come back to your individuality as spirit, and to your power. Real healing means taking full responsibility for the self. Without full responsibility for your inner world, you're not responsible for everything that happens to you on the outside, but you are responsible for everything that happens to you on the inside. And until we take that full responsibility, we don't fully heal. So said a different way, the more you take responsibility, the more you heal. And Kabbalah brings in that full potential to take full responsibility, because we come from the physical world, which is down here at the feet at number 10 in this diagram, all the way up through this blueprint to number 1, Keter, at the crown, at the top of the head. And so that's 10 Malkuth down here. You guys can all see this little green circle, I hope. That represents our physical body. Up here, Keter, number 1, represents the top of the head, the crown, the connection to source. And when we go on the journey of Kabbalah, we start in the physical and we move up to the spiritual. We start where we live in the physical body, because that's everybody's experience. And we proceed all the way through every stage of manifestation, every stage of creation. We come to that divine spark that is the self. And that divine spark is very hidden. It's not obvious in daily life that you are a divine eternal being. That spark is like asleep inside of us. And in Kabbalah, we wake it up, and we wake up every stage of creation along the way to that spark. Kabbalah, as we go on the journey, leads to a better, more accomplished version of yourself. So life, as it stands today, is based on how much you know yourself. Now, maybe for some people that's an obvious statement, that the degree that you have a wonderful life that is filled with joy, that is completely dependent on how much you know who you really are. Because you can create certain things in life because you were born into a good family with good parents. Maybe you had lots of money. Maybe you went to good schools. Maybe, you were brought up with a really positive sense of the world, whatever. Maybe you inherited something that was good. Some people have what seem to be on the outside like good lives, but they weren't really truly the ones responsible for creating that goodness. They just inherited it from someone else. Nothing wrong with that. That's great. If that was you, wonderful. Congratulations. Most people don't inherit something really good. They inherit a lot of junk from their past and their ancestors. So if we want, though, to have real joy in life, we have to actually know who we are. There isn't there isn't a workaround or a substitute for knowing thyself. If there were, we wouldn't need a mystery school. We wouldn't even need religions. We wouldn't even need therapy or personal development. If there was some easy, quick fix where you just thought differently, like the Apple commercial, think different. You can just go think different and you're going to live however you want to live. Then there's no need for a system because it would just be automatic. Whatever you say you want becomes your reality, and you don't have to try hard. You don't have to make changes. You don't have to grow or transform. You just snap your fingers and you get what you want in life. We all know that that's not how it works. Even like a 10-year-old knows that that's not how it works. And by the time you grow up, you're 20, 25, 30 years old, you figure out, hey, if I really want something in life, I have to work for it. And whatever the thing is that you want in life, you're going to work in a unique way to get there. So if you just want a lot of money in life, there's ways to do that. If you want to have better relationships, that's a lot more ephemeral. That's a little bit harder to touch than just having lots of money, because money is a more physical thing. There's formulas and ways, and you go do certain things, start a business, get an education, whatever your path to that is, and then you can have that money. Relationships, you got to really crack a code with that, but it's possible to do. But then if you want to know yourself as a divine eternal being, that's really not very easy to do. That requires some kind of spiritual system to get there. Yeah, there's the 1 in a million or 1 in a billion people like Eckhart Tolle who they're homeless and they wake up on a park bench one day and they're miraculously enlightened and then they go teach worldwide. That's great. But that's like one guy out of, and then there's no system to it, because Eckhart Tolle is wonderful, but he doesn't really have a system that is reproducible that turns people into the same kind of a being that he is. And that having a reproducible system is really essential for success, because I think it's great that there's people who have spontaneous spiritual awakenings, come into a high level of self-realization, and then go tell the world about how wonderful it is to be self-realized. But for me, I wanted a system where I knew if I did the following steps, I would get to a certain goal, a certain destination. And that destination for me was something that I spent many, many years, coming to a conscious refinement around, studying, esoteric Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, mystical Islam, Sufism. And as I studied these different spiritual traditions, Zen Buddhism as well, shamanic traditions from around the world, different New Age spiritual healing traditions, as I studied all of these, I realized that they're all talking about something pretty universal, which is love, which another term for that would be like Christ consciousness, like truly understanding what love is, and to live a good life and to be a good person. Pretty simple. All spiritual traditions talk about that. And yet none of those spiritual traditions gave me a very reliable way to get there in any reasonable time scale. Certain types of Eastern traditions I found, like Zen Buddhism and certain yogic practices, gave me access to spiritual insights about myself. But the path to those spiritual insights leading me to become a truly better person seemed very, very slow. Very slow. Like I did the better part of 3 years, 3 hours a day or more of Zen Buddhist meditation. And I noticed very little change to the basic foundation of my personality. My human self didn't really change much. I had many enlightened experiences during those hours and hours a day of uninterrupted meditation, but my human self was still going through the same struggles. 3 years later, I didn't have my baseline when I woke up in the morning was really no different after 3 years of meditating 3 hours a day. I still had the same problems when I woke up every morning. And that didn't inspire me very much. I still continued that for several more years after that. But when I found the mystery school, I looked back after the first 3 months from, I got initiated in July 2005. And then by September, October 2005, I kind of turn around and look back at the previous several months since I got initiated, and I realized I had grown more in those several months than I had in 10 years before the mystery school. And that really inspired me to continue. So I took Kabbalah. That was the next phase. That was the next step. And, I had a series of interesting dreams when we ascended into Malkuth that first weekend. So this was now February 2006. That whole month of February, I think the ascension was maybe February 1st and 2nd or something, whatever it was that year. It was the first weekend of February. And that next month, I had a series of dreams where I basically got off a train in a train yard, and the train yard was empty, and there were no trains, and it was just tracks everywhere and mist and gravel. And then the dream ended. I was just alone in this sort of like between time and space with all these train tracks. Next dream picks up where that one left off. I'm in the same train yard, and a new train pulls up, and it goes all the way, like there's dozens of cars in this train, and it's all passenger cars. And then I come to the final train, and it's the final car in the train, and it stops. And I'm so drawn to this train. It's like the Polar Express, if you ever read that book as a kid. It was just this magical train going somewhere on this new track. And the dream ends. And then the third dream happens, maybe a few days or a week later. And in the third dream, it picks up where the last one left off. And in this third dream, someone comes to the back of the train and basically asks me if I want to get on this train. And this being does not look like a human. They have this, their entire body is just like glowing light. And they're just asking me in their heart, like telepathically, would you like to get on this train? And I asked out loud, where in the dream, where is this train going to? And this person or this being at the back of the train says to me, they open their mouth, and just like golden light, sacred geometries just pour out of their mouth, and it sounds like angels singing. And they're like, this train is going to Eden Harmony. And I was like, Eden Harmony, like the Garden of Eden. I was like, I want to go there. And the dream ends. And then the next dream, a few days or a week later, picks up where that one left off. And I'm standing there outside the train, and then I get on, and the train starts moving. And I'm looking out the window, and I'm just sobbing in the dream, these tears of joy and beauty, and like shedding all these old layers. And I knew that train, when I stepped on it, and that fourth dream that I had, I knew that train was Kabbalah. The train was the tree of life that I had stepped onto. And then it just kept going, just kept unfolding. And 11 months later, I finished. And then, it takes a while to integrate the tree, but within probably, so 18 months after I finished, which is the average integration time, I think, at a minimum for most people, I was in a new life. I was in the life that I had asked for. And that's, there's too many details to that life to try and break them all down right now. But Kabbalah delivers you to the life that you requested. And it can take a long time to deliver that, because some of us have serious resistance to it. For me, it was 18 months. For some people, it's 2 or 3 years. But it moves you into a new way of life that is the life that you requested, or better. Kabbalah is also our best system for manifesting, because it organizes your mind on all levels. It helps with all your daily functions. It clears your subconscious. It connects you to the mind of God and many, many more things. It also clears out ancestral programs from your ancestors that might be thousands of years old, holding you up in your life. Kabbalah helps to cleanse old pain, trauma, and hurt, any blockages on any levels, old emotions, limiting beliefs, programming, masks, old identities, like your old sense of who you are, failures, mistakes, and more. Kabbalah goes through the whole entire foundation of your subconscious mind, which is the entire tree of life, and it cleans that up. It cleans that foundation at the deepest core levels. Kabbalah gives you a renewed sense of faith in yourself, in God, humanity, and the purpose of your life, why you're here, what you're really here to do. That every time you go through Kabbalah, that gets stronger. You get more connected to those things, more connected to you, more connected to source. Doesn't matter what name you call it. We like to call it God. We call it Divine Mother and Father. Doesn't matter. More connected to humanity. A lot of people have had their faith broken not only in themselves and in God, but also in other people. And Kabbalah helps to heal that faith in humanity, that humans are good. Core Hermetic teaching, humans are good. I know we look at the world, You see whatever you see out there in the world, and it's maybe sometimes hard to believe that humans are good, but we are. And knowing that changes everything. Yeah, I can say it in a webinar, but when you come to see and feel and know for yourself the higher vision, purpose, and reality of humanity, you're inspired. You want to serve. It's easy to get disillusioned in the world with how things are going because we have limited perception of reality. But when we tap into true reality, your faith in humanity gets renewed as well, not just in you and in God, but in all other people as well. That's connected to your higher purpose. Higher purpose is always about other people, not just yourself. It's always about the service that you're here to do. It's about you are a unique archetype that no one else is exactly who you are. And you do have something that you need to bring here. And if you don't bring it, the world is a more impoverished place because you didn't bring your service. If you do bring your service, the world is enriched by that. Is the world going to be made or broken because you did or didn't do what you did? Probably not. Usually, most of us aren't, as individuals, quite so important that the entire world hinges on whether or not you wake up and do your service. But if you don't, the world won't be better because you didn't. The world will only be better if you did. And at the end of your life, it doesn't matter how much money you had. It doesn't even matter necessarily who you were married to. It just matters that you did what you were here to do. And there's a discovery process to that. What is that service? What is that higher expression of you that's meant to come forward? And the Kabbalah that we work with in the mystery school reveals that from the inside out. It shows you step by step. Here are the parts of you. And, the requests that you make mean everything. So let me go to the next slide here. As Kabbalists, we want to accomplish the primary goal of being initiated, which is to know thyself. That's a journey that never ends. We are never done with the journey to know thyself. As Kabbalists, we know ourselves and we want to live more of life, more alive. You want to get more juice for the squeeze, as they say, from every moment of life. You want to be able to get all the good things of life in every moment, ideally. And I can say, as someone who's been doing Kabbalah now for 20 years, I've done Kabbalah actually sometimes twice in the same year. So this will be my 21st, maybe my 22nd time, I think, doing Kabbalah, this upcoming tree. I think it's my 22nd time doing Kabbalah. That's not even allowed for most people. But as a Kabbalah teacher, I have the honor of doing that. And every single time that a person goes through the tree of life, they bring with them a set of goals. They bring with them what we call your octagon. And the octagon is a structure of sacred geometry that exists within you. If you are a mystery school initiate, you are already working with it every day through the Kabbalistic cross ritual. And when you do your Kabbalistic cross ritual, that energy goes into your octagon around you. And as it spreads through the octagon, that octagon is filled with light. Now, the octagon is also like a battery system that can be filled with goals. And each face of the octagon is a different goal. So you have 8 areas in the octagon that you get to put goals into. And there's other ways to use the sacred geometries in the tree of life. You can also put your goals into the 10 spheres of the tree. So you can put them into the octagon, you can put them into the spheres as well. And there's an overlap in the energy structure of those things. But I like to do both when I climb the tree. The octagon's more immediate. Putting them into the tree is a little bit more long-term. But either way, one of the things that we do in the mystery school, just to step back from Kabbalah for a moment, is we are always using sacred geometry. We use sacred geometry for everything. We are organizing reality through sacred geometry. So we have many, many energy structures within us. They're all real, but no one teaches us this in school, in elementary school, in high school, in college. You get a PhD. No one's teaching you. You have sacred geometry, energetic structures built into you that have many different purposes. And in Kabbalah, we teach you about the structures that you need to know about for manifestation, creation, healing, and living life alive. There's many other structures as well that we use in other capacities as mystery school initiates. But the sacred geometries of a tree of life and the octagon and the watchtowers And all the geometries that you find within those all have major influences in our lives. And each of those can be charged up with specific energies and actually is sitting there waiting to be charged up with specific energies. It's waiting to be owned by you. Your tree of life is like a vast supercomputer that's sitting there, mostly asleep, simply running old programs that came from your parents, society, and the past. And as a Kabbalist, we want to wake up that tree so that it's flowing the exact instructions that we consciously gave it now in this physical life, in present time. The tree of life should be up to date every day with the latest software, the latest downloads, the latest. And by those things, I mean that metaphorically, of course, but the software of the tree of life has a lot to do with the goals that you set. And the goals that you set, you will carry with you throughout the year of Kabbalah and beyond. And those goals will become supercharged as they pass through the different regions of the tree of life. And as they move through those regions of the tree of life, all the light of the tree shines on those goals. And this is why I was saying a few minutes ago, you get those goals as a result of Kabbalah or something better, because the higher frequencies of the mind of God that reside within the tree that become activated and turned on when you do this journey, those lights shine on those goals. And as the lights shine on those goals, the goals are transformed themselves. Now, maybe the goal that you set at the beginning of the year, maybe you did know yourself well enough that it was truly what you asked for, was exactly what you wanted. Most people, though, they ask for one thing, but what they really wanted was something slightly different than that. And they didn't know themselves well enough to ask that. They didn't really know exactly what they were asking for. Now, through the grace of the tree of life, through the grace of God, literally, the goals that you set at the beginning of Kabbalah are constantly being worked on and upgraded by the tree itself. So you will get what you asked for, or if that's not really what's in your highest good, you'll get something better than that. The tree will deliver your goal, but on a higher level, in a different form, perhaps. Or it might deliver the goal that you asked for. If that's what's in your highest good, then the tree will deliver it. I've placed many requests to the tree of life and gotten exactly what I asked for, sometimes down to the details and nuances of those qualities. Other times I've asked for something and the tree has redirected me and showed me that, no, I actually want something else. There's something else that I really need and want, and I've been shown what that is and how to get there. So the lessons, the aspects, the relationships, as you step into Kabbalah, all these things get activated, and the forces behind them are responsible for that. Inside every sphere of the tree is a divine force, kind of like a quantum nuclear power plant, sitting at the center of each sphere on the tree. There's a map of the tree on the wall behind me. You can kind of see that there's different colors to that. Those of you who are watching the recording won't be able to see this at all, actually, so I won't really refer to that too much. But those of you who are watching live can see my video here. There's different layers to these spheres. So there's 4 worlds inside of each sphere. And at the core of each of those spheres is this world of fire, which is like a nuclear reactor in the mind of God inside of that sphere. And that's the first layer to wake up. So we wake up the fire first inside of each sphere. And the sphere comes alive. And as it comes alive, it starts to move and it starts to change and transform based on that fire that's driving that reaction. And that next is the world of air. This is the world of the archangels, the architecture or the overarching big picture vision of what is to be. And next is the world of, and that relates to the element of air. Next is the world of water, the world of the angels, the world of, planning things out, seeing the details, looking at the bigger picture, and then breaking it down into steps. And then finally, at the sort of the crust, so to speak, or the surface, just like at the center of our planet, it's superheated magma. At this, and then at the crust, it's Earth, right? and water as well, of course, in terms of planet Earth. But that crust or that Earth level, the outer shell of that sphere, is the mundane world, which is connected to different elemental forces, different magical forces within the physical universe that, and magic is another term for science we don't understand yet. So whatever you want to think of magic being, when people didn't understand how things could fly through the air, if they saw a modern airplane, they would think, well, that's magic, right? We just think it's an airplane. So the world of metaphysics is no different. The things that we don't really understand, we call them magic. Once we understand them, we call them science. It's potato, potato. The experience of going through and activating these four worlds or these four levels in the tree, as each level wakes up, more forces become available to you. And as more of those forces are available, more parts of your life open up. Because in each of those different layers of the tree, in each of those 10 spheres of the tree, starting with the physical, going up to the spiritual, are all the powers, all the contracts, all aspects of your life purpose are all contained within those things. So as you go on a journey up the tree of life, are 100% of these things going to activate the first time you go on a journey up the tree of life? No, like I said, I've done this, more than 20 times now, and more is always revealed. But as you go on this journey once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times through the tree of life over the course of many years, it's nothing to even think about now, but just know that many people do it more than once. As you go on this journey, these forces open up and they show you more of you. And whatever is revealed to you is yours to keep. What comes forward during Kabbalah doesn't just get turned off. Once you finish Kabbalah, it's permanently turned on. Now, you may not even remember that you went through that because it's a long 12-month journey, but it's now permanently on. So you have access to it at all times. And if you look at this diagram here on the left, it looks like many things. I mean, you see different colors, you see different astrological symbols, you see different names. There's Hebrew letters, there's a transliteration of the name in Hebrew, there's the translation of the name into English. There are these tarot trump cards, the 22 major arcana of the tarot. There are these numbers on the pathways as well, right? There's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in the spheres. And then if you look between 1 and 2, there's a pathway labeled number 11 that relates to the ox or the Hebrew letter Aleph. And the tarot trump that's related to that is the Fool, the first of the 22 major arcana. And that then proceeds down the tree. So the tree sort of starts at the bottom, and then the pathways kind of start at the top and go down. So bottom to top, top to bottom. And each of these different spheres that have those 4 different worlds, each within them, fire, air, water, and earth, unfold those powers as you are ready for them as you climb through them. And the angels, the archangels, those quantum, magical, scientific, whatever you want to call them, physical forces as well. And then that spark of that nuclear fire in the mind of God that sits in the center of each sphere, that presides over all of it, that is closest to your spirit. That is who you really are. Those, the tree of life is the original blueprint, or sometimes called the fingers of fire, that went out from God and manifested themselves all the way from the Big Bang into physical reality, into planets and stars and solar systems. So the tree of life is also the blueprint of how did the universe come into being, starting with, what science might call the Big Bang at the beginning of the universe. And the tree of life has always been the structure of the entire universe. So we say it's our DNA, and it is. This is like one codon of the DNA. You have 3 base pairs, and then you have this middle pillar, that light that's at the center, sometimes called biophotons, that are in the center of the DNA. And then you have the 3 base pairs on either side, and this whole thing spins. So it literally is a double helix like the DNA. And this holographic unit of the tree of life influences every single gene in the human body, every single gene in every body, in every life form, and even in the vacuum of space itself. This is still the blueprint. This is the blueprint of the universe. This is the map inside the quantum field. If we could crack open the quantum field and look at it from a spiritual perspective, we would, quote unquote, see, I'll put that in quotes because I don't know if it physically looks like this, but it would have these 10 qualities, these 22 pathways. This is the structure that's within the field itself of everything. So as we master that field of everything, we can then navigate everything in life properly. Every single circumstance that comes to us in life, we will be better at it. Will we be perfect at it? No, because perfection is a goal that we never reach. We should keep striving for perfection, but we never reach perfection. We just keep moving toward greater understanding of perfection. And it's always another step, and then another step, and another step. And ultimately, that should energize us, not tire us out. If we're like, oh my God, I'm never going to be perfect, I'm never going to reach the final destination, it's like, yeah, that's the point. That would be so boring if you reached the final, if you're like, I did some spiritual growth and now I'm there. You know, like what one of you were saying earlier before we started the recording, you know, I'm basically a blank slate right now. I'm empty, I'm open, I know nothing. That's where we start every day as a Kabbalist. Every moment as a Kabbalist, we say, I come out of the darkness into the light. I am nothing. I know nothing. I have nothing. I am nothing. I am empty of all things. All things, I let go of everything. As I let go of everything, then everything can come back in. Not back in, but come in a new way. So I let it all go, and then new light has to fill me. So I'm reborn every moment. A Kabbalist is someone who has learned to die and be reborn every single moment. That is the most powerful recipe, the most powerful blueprint, the most powerful formula for being you and for having an impact. And for, I mean, and even all the modern science and gurus and coaches are all pointing in that same direction. They're saying, like, you got to let go of the past and you got to be totally present and you got to be in the creative flow and just let everything come through you. And then you'll have infinite intelligence. Yes. So we've been saying in Kabbalah for 3,000 years, let everything go, be totally open, and you will have infinite intelligence, infinite light, infinite wisdom, infinite ability and capacity to do anything. Because who you think you are only matters until you drop it. And then it doesn't matter anymore. Who cares who you are? I mean, right now, maybe you care a lot about who you are. Okay, that's good. Yeah, self-love, self-confidence. Okay, fine. How far will self-love and self-confidence take you? What if you just have to let it go and you don't even have you don't have anything. You have nothing. And when you have nothing, then you can be everything. No, I don't mean a martyr like who's someone who's everything to everyone. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, you can be God. You can be the right thing in this moment. And then in the next moment, you can turn, pivot, and be something totally different. Because that's what that next moment calls for. And then that next moment, that's done. Here's another moment. I'm going to turn over here, pivot, be someone I'm going to be in service to exactly the divine blueprint of what is needed in each moment to have the most joy, to know myself to the greatest capacity, to do the greatest service, to help the greatest number of people live more of life more alive, to find their joy. And if I'm stuck in one way of being from my past, I can't really do that. I'm back there somewhere. I can't be present. So Kabbalah is this most profound formula for how to do that in our lives. We already talked about this. Another aspect that I didn't really say here directly, I didn't really connect together yet. Kabbalah gives you not only the blueprints for manifestation, but it actually puts those blueprints into your physical and spiritual DNA so that you literally become the frequency that you're trying to manifest, that is Hermetic law. The 7 Hermetic principles start with the principle of mentalism. The universe is mental, all is mind. As the mind creates, it creates through correspondence. As above, so below, as within, so without. Whatever is in my mind manifests in the outer world. It does that through the 3rd principle of vibration, which is basically the principle of frequency. Whatever my vibration is, that determines the quality of that creation. As the vibration manifests, it manifests along a spectrum, the principle of polarity. And as the energy moves along the spectrum, that's the 5th principle of rhythm. The energy is then the vibration is always moving back and forth along a spectrum. And there are almost infinite, if not infinite, different numbers of spectrums for everything you can possibly imagine. Every different type of emotion and energy and thought and reality and physicality and spirituality all exists on almost infinite numbers of spectrums, polarized spectrums. And the energy of all those principles of rhythm is always moving. It's always moving along those spectrums. And as those spectrums intersect in different places in time and space, you can have different nodes of different numbers of spectrums intersecting. That starts to, those things become causes, which then are effects, which is the sixth principle of cause and effect. As the energy of vibration moves along a polarized spectrum, according to the principle of rhythm, those frequencies overlap, and as they crystallize together, they are causes that produce effects. And then the seventh principle is that as all causes and effects manifest, they manifest in masculine ways and feminine ways, which both Hermetics and Kabbalah are not sentimental about. We're not political about. We are scientific about. So like protons and electrons, protons have a positive charge, masculine energy radiates outward. Electrons have a negative charge, pulls inward, feminine energy. So we have those forces, both of us as men and women, inside of us. And those two forces of masculine and feminine energy are always required to come together in unique combinations to create. No creation happens without masculine and feminine expression. So as that frequency goes into your DNA, according to those Hermetic principles, it must manifest. It can't not manifest. So the creations that you create and make or manifest in Kabbalah are these permanent changes to your spiritual blueprints, permanent changes to your physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, everything DNA. All those changes must happen. They can't not happen. So anything you create in Kabbalah becomes your new world. It becomes your new reality. So, one of the nice things about so many of you who are on this webinar tonight, live and in person on Zoom here, and for anyone who watches this as well as in the recording format later, for those of you who already signed up for Kabbalah, it's great to have these intros because you get to start to think about, what would you like? It's kind of like your Christmas list to Santa or something like that. Like, what would you like to manifest? Because it's not exactly the sky's the limit, but there aren't that many limits, especially if you're willing to take years to integrate. So what do you really want? What is it you really want to ask for? Do you even believe you deserve to have the things that you sort of, fingernail bitingly hope for that you'll get in your life? I can't tell, every single hundreds of times I've set goals in Kabbalah. And I was always like, no way. I will never be that guy who can do that. I'll never have that thing that I really want, because the subconscious programs tell us that. I've always asked for big things, and the tree has always brought me those big things. The tree has always delivered those things to me, to the point where it's basically delivered everything I've ever asked for and more in my life now. And here I am, I'm 44 years old, and I've done everything I wanted to do on a soul level and more. Like, I've accomplished every single goal my soul's ever had and more, times 10. And I'm only halfway through my life. That's amazing. I think it's amazing. I mean, maybe some of you are like, dude, I'm 23 and I already got it all figured out. Okay, great. Good for you. Amazing. Please tell me about the system that you're using, because if you have a system for that, I want to know, because I want to study the best systems. I haven't found a better system than Kabbalah for truly manifesting it so that it's real in my life. And if I did find another system, I would absolutely study that system, because I'm all about personal transformation, global transformation, how to heal, how to bring world peace. That's what I live for. That's the whole reason I'm alive. So Kabbalah is the best system I found for creating a truly upgraded life that produces real results that are permanent. That is your new life as a Kabbalist. And it doesn't go away, because you've changed your DNA. You've upgraded everything. Go on to the next slide here. So Kabbalah reveals your next steps. And next steps in life should scare us. Why? I mean, this is probably obvious to at least half of you. If your purpose doesn't scare you at least a little bit, it's not really your purpose, because your purpose is always outside your comfort zone, no matter how much of it you've accomplished. Even if you're sitting on your deathbed and you're taking your last 5 breaths of your life, your purpose is not over. Your next purpose is about to begin. And if you think you fully understand whatever your next step is, again, I use this deathbed analogy here because it's just the most obvious thing in the world. Do you even know what's beyond that gate of death? If you've got 2, 3, 4 breaths left in this life, there's something greater on the other side. And if it doesn't scare you, you're not being real with yourself. And that's just a really in your face example of everyday life. Every day, there's a greater work that lies inside every single person. And that greater work is by definition outside your comfort zone. Everything outside your comfort zone is going to scare you at least a little bit. If it was comfortable, it wouldn't scare you. But it's not comfortable, so it scares you. So without a map, without a system, without a guide, most people naturally and automatically, not everybody, but most people avoid and block their own next steps of life. Now, I will say, it's kind of like that statement, you can't fool all the people all the time. But everyone blocks their own progress sometimes. Some people block their own progress all the time. Most of those people don't find Kabbalah. If you're continuously blocking your own progress all the time, you're probably not really ready for Kabbalah. You're probably really not ready for a transformational system like this. But if you're someone who's in the majority, who, like most people, you block your progress sometimes. And then sometimes you don't. Sometimes you take leaps. Sometimes you get out of that comfort zone. But most people stay comfortably stuck in the familiar world until it's been outgrown for too long. And it becomes painful. If the first time that you get the inkling or the sense that you should take a step outside your comfort zone and then you take it, good for you. You're in the minority. That's awesome. I maybe do that more than most people because look at my life. Some people definitely do it more than I do. It's a habit that I think is like a muscle in my experience. This is my personal reflection. This is not a mystery school teaching, not Hermetic teaching, but just Jordan stepping back for a moment and reflecting. I think it's a muscle that you have to flex. You have to practice. And the more you practice getting unstuck by taking actions outside your comfort zone, the more you realize there's always the greatest rewards there. And then you keep doing it because your life gets better when you do it. Especially as an initiate, because you have all these forces of light supporting you. When you take leaps that are toward your purpose and outside your comfort zone as a mystery school initiate, oh my God, the universe supports you. And even when it seems like you're falling on your face, the universe picks you up and you're like, that wasn't so bad. Like, I just had an amazing experience. I did something so far outside my comfort zone. I don't even know how I made that work. I can look back at my life over the last 10 years and be like, I don't know how I made all that work, but I did. It all worked correctly at the time when I needed it. And everything that I need right now is also working correctly because I'm in a flow of service and light. And that flow of service and light is one uncomfortable step after the next, and then another uncomfortable step after that one, and then another uncomfortable step after that one. Because if I don't, it causes pain. If I don't take steps outside my comfort zone squeezes me because I'm trying to grow, but I'm staying stuck inside this little comfort zone, and that hurts more and more and more. So wherever you are in that spectrum, it's okay. Whether you're someone who races to get out of your comfort zone and break all the barriers as fast as you can, or you're someone who kind of hangs back and like watches Netflix on the couch, it's okay. All that matters is that you get out of it. That you decide to take those steps to say, I'm going to do something different that I haven't done before to make changes to move into a new reality. And Kabbalah teaches us that the rewards of that greater work are always going to be difficult, but therefore always going to be worthwhile. Kabbalah teaches that. Hermetics teaches that. Being on this path teaches that. Being a ritual master especially teaches that. We never get rewards without some serious work. It doesn't just happen to us. Kabbalah gives you the blueprint to show you that it's that map, that guide, that system. How do you do that? And where is that next step? I always need to know where the next step is. Like if I'm going to take a step outside my comfort zone, it better not be a random step because that's stupid. Sorry if I'm offending anyone with that, but not sorry. It's really dumb to take random steps outside your comfort zone. This is not a theme park. Life is not Disney World. And you need to make wise decisions. So I'm always going to use a map and a blueprint. Yeah, you can say, well, Jordan, you're just anal retentive. Like, why don't you loosen up and just take some random steps? And then I look at people who are taking random steps in their life, and I'm like, how's that going for you? Because I don't want to live that life. I don't want to live a random step kind of life. Life is way too short for that in my personal experience. I want to take the correct steps at the right times that are based on my blueprint, not what somebody else told me. Because you don't know what's right for me, and I don't know what's right for you. Even if I become your Kabbalah teacher for the next 12 months, I still don't know what's right for you. That might even frustrate you because you might come to me when you're struggling and be like, Jordan, please help me out. What's going on? Please tell me. And I'm like, I don't know. You're going to have to use your tools. And you might be like, God damn it, I'm paying you thousands of dollars to help me. It's like, yeah, but the help that you're asking for is inside of you. It's not inside of me. I'm the person who writes you a letter of introduction to these spheres and turns on those nuclear reactors. And then you go into the nuclear reactor with the angels and the archangels, and you find that spark of yourself and you reclaim it. And then it's yours. It's not mine. This is your tree of life. This is your life. You don't want someone telling you how to live it. Or if you did, you wouldn't be in this webinar. If you want someone to tell you how to live your life, just go join a religion. You don't need a mystery school. You don't need to go get initiated and spend time, money, and energy on all this stuff. Just go to church or synagogue or a mosque or a temple and have someone tell you what to do. It's okay. That's most humans. But if you want to know thyself, that takes work. That takes serious investment of time, money, and energy to know thyself. That takes doing things that are way outside your comfort zone, that are challenging and scary, and finding that power inside yourself. All that is core Kabbalah. Cool. Here's some images of the tree of life. It's been around for a long time. Also the DNA. Talked about that. Yep, we talked about that. I think we should just go do a meditation because we're getting toward the end of our time. I want to bring you guys into an experiential experience of a tree for a few minutes here. And then we can talk. Well, before we do that, I will say these are our dates for the year. These are also found on my website, healingboston.com. Click on the Kabbalah link on that menu bar, and it will take you to a whole page that has all this info on it. The first Ascension, the first weekend, is 2 days. It's June 21st and 22nd for this year, 2025. The next Ascension is 4 spheres at the same time. So we only do 1 sphere, Malkuth, on the first weekend for 2 days. The second weekend is only 1 day. That's Saturday, October 25th, 2025. That's Yesod, Hod, Netzach, Tiferet. Then we meet again at the end of February, February 28th, 2026. That's an ascension into 2 spheres, Geber and Hesed. And then we have a final retreat, Bina, Chokmah, and Keter. Right now we have that planned for a retreat center called Wisdom House in Litchfield, Connecticut. It's Northwest Connecticut. It's about 2.5 hours from our center in Boston here. I'm still securing that, so TBD on that, but I have a deposit in for that weekend. So that one's not in Boston. For those of you who might fly in from other areas, that would be, you probably fly into Hartford Airport in Connecticut and then maybe rent a car and drive to that. Or you can fly into Boston, Logan Airport, and drive all the way, carpool with other students who are coming from the Boston area. So those are the logistics. There's also 11 study groups. Those study groups are on Zoom and in person if you live locally. And all those are listed. I didn't put them here. It's too much for one page. And you don't need to write it all down right now. But these 4 weekends, Malkuth, Yesod, Hod, Netzach, Tiferet, Geber, and Hesed, and the final retreat, Bina, Chokmah, Keter, you have to be in person for those. Those must be in person. The other ones, the study groups, those are 3 hours long on a Monday and or Thursday night. There'll be different options for each one. And those are 3 hours long, Zoom or in person for those. So let's go into meditation. You can close your eyes. We'll do a brief Kabbalah meditation here to center and orient to the tree of life. We'll work with the cube. We'll work with the 5 questions. We'll work with the energies of the tree. Closing your eyes. Feet are on the floor. Palms are face up in your lap. Taking a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Then again. I'll talk you through a guided body relaxation, starting with the feet, working up to the head. You can repeat this, whispering softly, speaking out loud to your own body. Feet, relax. Legs, relax. Hips, relax. Lower back, relax. Belly, relax. Chest, relax. Upper back, relax. Shoulders, relax. Arms, relax. Hands, relax. Neck and throat, relax. Head and face, relax. Entire body, relax. Entire body, relax. Entire body, relax. Entire being, relax. Entire being, relax. Entire being, relax. Imagining light from God, Source, the universe, coming in through your crown chakra at the top of your head, washing down like a waterfall or a river of light from Source, from God, flowing through you, through your body, through your mind, through all of your energies, down into the earth. As you focus on the top of your head, your crown chakra, this light flows faster and faster, brighter and brighter, washing through you, cleansing, healing, and filling you up all at the same time. Let this light travel through your whole chakra system, through all 7 primary chakras, down into the earth. As that light washes all the way down into the earth, let it go to the core of the earth, to the magma, the center of the earth, to that molten iron core at the center of the earth. And then allow that light to radiate back up from the earth, washing back up through your tree of life. Let that light wash up through your feet, through the sphere of Malkuth, up through the groin area of the sphere of Yesod, up through the right hip area, the sphere of Hod, across to the left hip, flowing in this zigzag lightning bolt up through the tree of life, the sphere of Netzach at the left hip. Let that light continue to flow down through your chakras into the earth and back up your tree, up to your heart center, Tiferet. Let that river of light flow up to your right shoulder, Gevurah, and across to your left shoulder, Hesed. Let it flow up to the right temple, just outside the right side of your head, Bina. Let it flow to the left temple, outside the left side of your head, Chokmah. And then up, just above your head, to the crown, Keter. Let this light flow down through the chakras, into the earth, and back up your tree in one continuous flow. Focus on this flow for a minute. That light, as it goes up through your crown, continues on its journey all the way back up to God. This circuit of the chakra system in the tree of life, flowing continuously. You don't have to think about it. Just be aware. Ask, intend, and visualize the light flowing. As the light flows around you, it begins to strengthen all the sacred geometries around you, especially the geometries connected to your tree of life. Begin to become aware that surrounding you there is a cube with 6 faces, in front of you, to your right, behind you, to your left, above you, and below you. This cube spins and moves. It is not stationary. It is constantly moving. And you are connected to all 6 faces. Your soul is connected to this cube. The cube is connected to your soul. This cube contains many secrets, many mysteries. As simple as it is, the simplest things are the greatest mysteries. The food that you eat, the air that you breathe, the love that you feel in your heart, the simplest things are the greatest mysteries. How is it that you breathe this air? How is it that that keeps you alive? That this food that you eat goes into your body and becomes your body, nourishes you, and then is eliminated from your body, the parts that you don't need. All of this in a cycle of life. Things we take for granted that are the greatest, most simple things, the deepest mysteries. The love that you feel, why do you feel it? Why do you love the people you love? Can you even answer that? You can say the qualities and, oh, I like this about him or her, and my mom, my dad, my siblings, my kids, my spouse. Sure. It's true. Yeah. Yeah. It's all true. That's not really where it comes from, though. These things exist because of the will of God. This cube exists because of the will of God. Your life purpose that you find in the center of this cube exists because of the will of God. When science gets down to the brass tacks of why the universe works this way, if the scientists are humble enough, they will always say that same thing. Because God. Why is it this way? Well, God. Why is it that way? God. Here inside your cube, there's a great mystery of the soul. In your mind, the cube stabilizes, and you are facing the north wall. The cube is always, in a certain sense, facing north. You are facing north within the cube. It's an esoteric, permanent direction of the soul. Connect with this north face or north wall of your cube. As you connect with it, light begins to shine between you and this cube, this north wall of your cube. Ask yourself in your own heart, or you can say it out loud if you want, who am I? Who am I? And allow the north wall of your cube to begin to flow the answer to you. The north wall connected to the origins of the true self. Who am I? Who am I? Receive this light, this answer in the form of light and knowledge. Who am I? Let this pure knowledge enter your heart and mind and your whole being from this north wall of your cube. Asking yourself again out loud, who am I? 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 And as that luminous knowledge enters you without words, turn to the right, to the east wall of your cube. As you spin within the cube stays fixed, and you are facing the east wall of your cube, the space and center of illumination, the east. Speaking now toward the east wall, what am I? What am I? What am I? And letting that light and knowledge permeate your whole mind, heart, and being from the east. What am I? 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 Absorbing this light and knowledge from the east. What am I? What am I? What am I? And as you absorb that light and knowledge from the east without any words, turning to face the south, the cube stays fixed. Where do I come from? Connecting with the south wall of your cube and receiving that light and knowledge from the south. Where do I come from? 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 Letting this light and knowledge permeate your whole being as it flows into you from the south wall. Where do I come from? Where do I come from? Where do I come from? Good. Good. Turning to face the west wall in your mind's eye. The cube stays fixed, connecting with the west. Where am I going? Where am I going? Where am I going? Letting that light and knowledge flow into you from the west without any words, just pure illumination. Where am I going? 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 Connecting with that flow of light and knowledge from the west and letting it permeate your whole being. Where am I going? 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 Turning once again to face the north, connecting with your center, with your own heart. At the center of the cube is your heart. What is my purpose in life? Asking out loud into your own heart, letting that flow of light and knowledge come to you from your own heart. What is my purpose in life? 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 Feeling and receiving that light from your own heart, that knowledge from your own heart, your own center. The center of your cube is your heart. What is my purpose in life? 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 Let that light of your purpose expand to fill your whole cube. What is my purpose in life? Let that light of your purpose flow from your heart until it fills your entire cube, the whole cubic space around you. What is my purpose in life? 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 And as you focus on your heart with all this light, let it bring you back to your body fully, back to your physical awareness, feeling your feet on the floor and your butt in the chair, taking a breath and feeling the breath in your lungs, and you can open your eyes. Awesome. Great work, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording here.